that I thought of the body as a machine, and a machine that we simply have to maintain. I would say that the thing that I was the first to do was to realize that it would actually be easier to reverse aging than to slow it down. This is something that was very counterintuitive to the field 25 years ago when I first realized it and first put it forward. It took me quite a few years to get people to take the idea seriously at all, but eventually people understood what I was saying, and so now it's very much a mainstream way of thinking. It was always obvious to me that medicine is about keeping the body going. The body is this machine that undergoes, problems, and medicine solves those problems. And sure, aging is a self-inflicted problem as opposed to an infection. It's something that the body does to itself, but that doesn't make any difference. So I guess I always intuitively thought about the problem of aging, about the challenge of developing medicine against aging as a preventative maintenance problem. That I thought of the body as a machine, and a machine that we simply have to maintain. Obvious to me that it was never a topic of conversation. And the only time that changed was after I had, gone through many years of working in artificial intelligence research, working on a completely different problem for humanity. And it was only through those kinds of conversations that I began to realize, first of all, that there's a really profound difference of mindset between basic scientists and technologists. That basic scientists are all about finding things out for the sake of finding things out. They often describe themselves as curiosity-driven. So that for them, the best questions are the ones whose answers will create new questions. Whereas a technologist, a pioneering technologist certainly, is all about finding out only enough to allow them to manipulate nature for humanitarian purposes. And, whereas the idea of knowing enough for a basic scientist just doesn't compute.
Why do you think that, we should control aging?
Yeah, I started coming across this kind of thing very early on, of course. As soon as I started, as I say, talking to my wife and other people about this, the people would come up with these reasons for claiming that, that aging is some kind of blessing in disguise. And they would say things like that. They would say, it's natural. Hello, tuberculosis is natural. And most people are fairly happy that we've got tuberculosis under pretty comprehensive control. People would say, as you say, like it's kind of interfering in God's plan. Well, last I checked, God was supposed to be omnipotent, which means that he can perfectly well strike you down with a thunderbolt however healthy you are, right? Furthermore, it's not just the death aspect. Aging causes a lot of suffering. I mean, rather a lot, far more than any other phenomenon in the modern world. And last I checked, Holy Scripture says that we are supposed to spend our lives trying to minimize people's suffering. So it's a sin not to work on this. I mean, it's kind of completely bleeding obvious. And, you can say all manner of other things like death gives meaning to life. What on earth does that actually mean? Plus also, well volunteered, you can always kill yourself. Honestly, so.
Will we be able to rejuvenate, for example, you and I, to a state similar to when we were in our 30s?
Absolutely. That's the whole point. This is the big eureka moment that I had 25 years ago, realizing that turning the clock back, which is what preventative maintenance is actually easier than slowing the clock down. Now, of course, turning the clock back is harder the more dilapidated the machine is. So, in other words, the more dilapidated the body is. So that's why, at least at first, the ideal beneficiaries of these first-generation rejuvenation treatments are going to be people in their 60s or so. And people in their 80s, on average, will be in a less good state, and therefore they will need to have somewhat more sophisticated therapies. But honestly, so what?
But you would still be able to kind of repair that level of damage?
Sure, I don't see any reason why not. I mean, this is the kind of thing that at the macroscopic level, we are constantly getting better at. Surgery is getting more effective in all manner of ways. And really the goal here is to do the same thing at an increasingly microscopic level, at a getting less invasive level, if you like, using stem cell therapies and gene therapies and so on.
They see somebody being 70 and they say, okay, so we repair some stuff, but will that person look exactly the way they did in their 30s and how?
Sure they will. I mean, the outside of the body is the easy part. The skin regenerates itself fairly well already, just so long as the insides of the body are in good shape. So, I can understand that people would have difficulty believing it, but conceptually, it's a very straightforward concept.
Okay. The other argument I heard is kind of, I think it's maybe the chemistry of the body or the brain. But some people say, I can feel have experienced enough. It's like going to another country or another Michelin star restaurant. It doesn't have that novelty and excitement as it used to. Do you think that is just chemistry that changes if you rejuvenate, or do you think it's something else?
It's chemistry and society. I mean, of course, society has gravitated to a kind of state that is in the context of the existence of aging. So there is this stratification of people who were born different amounts of time ago. They'd listen to different music, things like that. So I think it's a combination of the two. Yes, the brain especially, gets more cluttered, if you like. There's more damage in the brain, and that's something that we will physically fix with medicine. But also, society kind of forces people as they get older into particular ways of doing things and into less and less interest in novelty, and there's no reason why that should necessarily be. It's perfectly possible for society to encourage novelty, and there may be good reasons to do that.
So I would say some form of longevity mania has already started. But I think it's more focused on kind of delaying the aging process rather than kind of reversing it. I'm thinking like the Brian Johnson or the ones who talk so much about the right diet.
Yeah, I mean, of course, people focus on what they can already do. People look at research and they'll say, well, good luck, but I'll believe it when I see it. And why shouldn't they say that?
And if you then look at yourself, I mean, how often do you think about, like, will longevity, escape, velocity come in time for yourself?
I don't really think about it at all. And the reason I don't is mathematical. The work that I'm doing is hastening the arrival of longevity, escape, velocity. I'm pretty sure of that. But how much is it hastening it? Might be a few years relative to what would happen if I did something else with my life. So that only changes my own chances by a few percent, which is a bit underwhelming, really.